So fear shows up, tells you how many skills and technical competence you don't have. How dare you think that you're going to be able to do that? And then you have inferiority complex, what we talked about a couple weeks ago. So you're not gonna be able to do. Who is you? Don't nobody know who you are. You a no name. You like worse than the store brand cereal. How you gonna do that? So now you have all this doubt and unbelief, this inferiority complex. That ain't shit. That ain't shit. That ain't shit. How dare you? And then to add that, you got that amazing stuckmily. And that's a Dr. Donna dictionary. Well, that's that family that stays together, stays stuck together. We is family, and we gonna stick together. And now y'all stuck together, and you can't move and go nowhere because y'all all stuck in a rut, and you can't get your butt up. So they gonna call the matriarch or the patriarch of the family to talk some sense into you. Now, baby, let me tell you something. Now, Pawpaw, granddaddy, now you know your great granddaddy on my sister's side said. And the next thing you know, they have another intervention. So the fear people couldn't do it, knocking you down. The inferiority complex couldn't do it. So they ain't gonna pull a whamma bam bam and get your whole stuck belief in the group chat and tell you all the reasons why you can go for the goal. All these unaccountable people who ain't had no accomplishments, so they got very few, they gonna give you all the reasons. And then you're gonna get your Uncle Jerry, the one that's got the money, and say, this is why you're not gonna be able to do that. Now let's talk some sense into you about this. What you mean you're gonna leave that corporate job? What you mean you're gonna sell your house and move to another country? You're gonna travel the world and sell all your shit? There's an older lady, and she lives on a cruise ship. Her and her husband, saw the video on TikTok. Her and her husband used to travel all the time, and he died, and he said, don't stop traveling. She sold all her stuff and literally lives on a cruise ship now. And they showed her room and everything. You don't think some people tried to talk her out of that? You about to sell out? What about the house? Daddy said, and she was having herself the best life ever. And she said it was cheaper to stay on a cruise ship than to actually live on land. So there you have it. But that stuck Malik is going to ensure that you never, ever go for the goal. And then finally, and I just made this word this morning, your stins. That's your stuck ass friends. STIENDS, your stins are going to come along and make sure, if your stuckmily didn't make sure you wasn't going for the goal, they are going to put the nail in your gold coffin to keep you and make sure you stay. What about us? We've been friends since the 5th grade. I knew you since you was knee high to a June bug. Come on now, you gotta stay right here with us. We about to, cause then, and you my fourth partner when we play cards, when we go golfing. What we gonna do when it's time for us to go on our trips? Our kids need to grow up together. Remember we said we was gonna be next door neighbors and all this other stuff. So your stins are gonna come and make sure that if the fear didn't get it and everything else, and the stuck Malik didn't do it, the stuck Malik called you and say, hey, Brenda, you got to go and get on over there and talk to Dr. Donna. It didn't work. So we're going to need you to pull out the 5th grade equations academic game card and tell her, remember, y'all made a promise. Y'all was going to death do us part. Okay? And if that ain't enough, here come all the biases: gender bias, ageism, sexism, and all those other biases, the conformity bias and the confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. You throw all that together, mix it up, and you ain't never going for the gold, chaos, dramatic ass, fearful stew, and they serving it up by the bowl. That's why you can't go for the gold. That's why by the time everybody every bias everything, every caste system in the world, by the time you just exhausted, you're like, you know what? They're right. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not going for the gold. It's too much. By the time they're ensuring that you stay stuck right there with them. But there was a TikTok sound probably about 8 months ago, said, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. About none of that shit. I don't care what y'all talking about, because I get to define what gold is for me. I get to determine what gold is. And y'all ain't about to talk me out of my victory. It's not about to happen. So if you gave up on your dreams, if you believe that you couldn't go find gold and there is no more gold rush for you, that's on you and your atrophied ass hijacked amygdala lifestyle. The atrophied brain with a hijacked amygdala and your working memory that's unemployed, you take that shit back to Louisville, because that doesn't apply to me anymore. It never applied to me, but it definitely isn't. So when they do that full court press and they are just trying to run game on you, okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one thing